And here she is, guys. We are excited. We are back here with the Michael Sartain podcast. And I have another guest today. Now, first thing, let me go ahead and give a disclaimer. It's going to seem like every guest or every other guest I have is a playmate. And you are going to just have to get used to that, because for a while, that is definitely how it's going to be. But I'm not going to make any apologies for it. My next guest, I met her when she was quite young. And I don't remember if we met at the Playboy Mansion, but I know you were at some of the same parties that I was at. And your journey is very interesting to me, so I wanted to talk about it today. It's Miss Tahlia Paris. How you doing today, honey?
I am doing amazing. It's really hot here in Vegas, but doing good.
It's like 105 in the middle of the night. It is very, very hot.
Yeah, you got to keep the AC on 24/7. It's killer out here.
Yes. So Tahlia, I'm really glad Tahlia is here because she's involved in a lot of things. But one of the things I wanted to talk about is when you and I first met, you were, let's be honest, like you were 19, and I knew you were. You told me, and we were going to clubs together. And but first of all, I was not the one getting her in. She was just going in like that. And I always made the joke to you that I was like, when you turn 21, you're not going to give a shit about any of this stuff. You're going to be like, man, I'm 21. Comp dinners. Who cares about this? I'm not going to San Tropez. I'm done. I don't care.
No, honestly, I have been doing the stuff that I'm still kind of doing to this day since I was probably like, I think 17. And I think we met when I was like 18.
Let's say you were 19.
Okay, maybe I was 19.
Let's tell everyone that you were 19 when we met.
I was not 18. I was 19. But no, I've been, I don't know. I've always been kind of more mature for my age, and I've always hung out with people who are a lot older than me. So yeah, I definitely had the whole fake ID, and, I was out and about, and I did lie a few times about my age. Like, people would be like, how old are you? And I'm like, oh, I'm, 22. And really I'm like 19. But no, yeah, I've been in the game for a while. And yeah, now that I am 24, almost 25, someone asked me to go out, and I'm like, I don't know, my dog's at home, my bed. So I don't know. I'm kind of over that.
I kind of figured that was going to happen. I mean,
yeah.
you had done more stuff by the time you were 21 than I did by the time I was 40.
Yep.
And it was a very different experience. So you're also, I will say this, and I'm not going to say which club because I'm going to get somebody in trouble. You're the only girl that I've ever met that was under the age of 21 that had a nightclub throw their birthday party. I've never seen that before.
Yeah, I actually hosted at nightclubs. Well, there was a few times, like I hosted and stuff at nightclubs when I was, I think 19 or 20, but like I had to wear like a wristband and stuff like that, or put like the X's on my hands. So like they knew I wasn't 21. But of course I was obviously low key drinking in the bathroom and stuff. So I know, super bad, but, yeah, now that I'm older, it's just like, it's all the same stuff. So I'm just kind of over it at this point, honestly. And yeah, I've been over it since I was even like 20. Like I did it 17, 18, 19, 20, and then just got over it.
And you lived in LA back then.
Yeah, I was living in LA, which was so easy to get into the clubs, by the way. I had a lot of promoter friends that seriously getting into clubs in LA, I didn't even think I needed an ID. Like I would literally just walk in the door. They'd be like, oh, like, what's up? Vegas was a little bit more of a different story.
Yes, it was.
Oh my gosh. I've had so many fake IDs taken away in Vegas. I've gotten in so much trouble. There was a few times where I got in like a fight with the bouncer, and they're like, this isn't you on the ID. And I would fight with them, and they're like, okay, like I'm going to go get the police. And I'm like, no, please don't get the police. And then at that point I leave. But no, I was super just like, yeah, in the scene since I was super young.
Now you are already doing, I guess it would be 2016. You're doing Playboy Cybergirl.
So I won Cybergirl of the Year when I was 2017. Yeah.
Right.
So in 2017. So I was 20 years old when I won.
Okay.
Which I was very surprised that I had won because the interviews and everything were actually in Las Vegas. And all the girls, of course, were 20 something. They were, I would say, at least 25 and up. And so I was the only 20-year-old. I wasn't 21. So we did a lot of events and stuff where we would go out and go to like nightclubs, and I couldn't go. And so I remember there was one night I tried to kind of like sneak in to one of the nightclubs, and I got recognized from somebody who worked there, and they pulled me to the side. I was about to walk in. I think it was like Omnia or something. And somebody who worked there pulled me to the side, and they're like, you're not 21. Like, you cannot go in. And I was like, no. And I was so upset. I was like, I feel like there's no way I'm going to win Cybergirl of the Year now, because part of Cybergirl of the Year is how you are in public and in person, and how, you know, at the nightclub, how I represent myself and how I represent Playboy and everything. So I was like, shoot, like I feel like I kind of lost my opportunity because I'm not 21. And when I got that phone call that I had actually won, I was like, oh my gosh, like I guess it doesn't matter. And I think I'm the youngest Cybergirl of the Year to have ever won. So
wait, you did your pictorial? You were 19 when you did the.
My very first pictorial, I was 19. Yeah.
Where were you? Where was it?
It was in LA at this beautiful, beautiful mansion in Malibu with Holly Randall, who is amazing. She's an amazing.
She was the photographer.
She was the photographer. Yeah. My first nude shoot ever. So, it was super comfortable, and she, like, her whole crew, like everybody, it was just the most amazing experience. Like I wanted to be in Playboy since I was, I think 12 or 13 years old. I was very young, and I always told my mom, I'm like, I want to be one of those girls. And so she's like, okay, like whenever you turn 18, like if that's still what you want to do, I'll help you out, help you apply. And literally the day I turned 18, I applied for Playboy online. And I don't even know if it was like legit or not. I just found some like website. I was like, whatever, I'll just send in these pictures. And I think this is how you apply, but I don't really know. I didn't know anyone. I was living in Santa Barbara, so I wasn't really in the LA scene yet. And I just applied, and I got an email back from Sam Rima and Kim, and they're like, come in for an interview. So yeah, it was just one thing after another.
It's funny. That's about the time I met Sam and Kim. And I was applying to try to get a job at Playboy Radio at the time.
Okay. Yeah.
I was trying to get them to have me and CJ do a podcast together. And I remember meeting you. That's around the time that I first met you. So now you're 19. What's the first time you go to the mansion?
I was actually 18. So I got
Travis,
my first
is this story
shoot.
getting better or not?
It's getting exciting. Keep going.
So she's 18. She's going to the Playboy mansion. Go ahead.
So my first shoot was 19, but the first thing I ever did for Playboy was when I was 18, and I was a body paint model at the Midsummer Night Dream.
Which year was this?
So I don't know.
2015.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
I was 100%. I was there because I hosted a bikini competition with Crystal Hefner, and she invited me to go that year and the year after. Yeah, I definitely remember that.
Yeah. So
and you do realize that whole evening is going to be probably in Bilzerian's book.
Oh, really?
Because he was there too.
I actually remember meeting him that night, and I have a picture, and it was so cool because I had never done anything like that in my life, obviously. So I was 18 years old, first time at the Playboy Mansion, and I met so many people, and I actually have a picture with Dan Bilzerian.
Me too.
I didn't really know who he was back then, but everyone's like, he's a big deal. So I'm like taking like pictures, like totally like fangirling, like not even knowing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I met so many people that night. It was just amazing.
So did Chloe get painted with you at that time?
Yeah, so she was there. I actually think CJ was there. Yeah. I think like Holly Wolf and like all those girls.
I remember all this now.
And I remember like when I was 18, like I looked up to those girls. I was like, oh my gosh, like these girls are what I want to be, you know, eventually, hopefully in the next couple years, like I can actually get a real shoot with Playboy.
Yeah.
So that was like just my first step in the door with Playboy was being at the mansion.
So can you describe, hopefully someday they're going to open it back up. I don't know if they are. I mean, the place is under construction right now. Even if it's not the Playboy Mansion anymore, I feel like it's kind of a waste that people don't get to at least see that house on Charing Cross because there's so many memories, the TV shows. Every time I went there, and I've only been there 3 or 4 times, every time I go there, I just remember there's all these things that I had seen throughout history, either in a photo shoot or on a TV show. And I was like, oh, this is where the grotto is. Oh, this is where the game room, right? You know, the game room, it has 2 secret bedrooms that are in the game room. Like, oh, I wonder what those are for. You know?
Yeah, no, I love that. It's just, watching like the TV show, like The Girls Next Door and everything, and then being there.
And
it's
then being
like,
there.
what? Like, this is real. Like, this is crazy.
So explain, you get there. What are the emotions that are going through when you see all these different spots there?
Oh, I was like super emotional. And again, like this is something I'd wanted to do my whole life. And I watched The Girls Next Door. So I saw all these places. And yeah, like being in the grotto, like I remember I took so many pictures in there, and I was totally like, oh my gosh, like this is it. Like this is, you know, like I finally made it. Like this is what I've always wanted to do.
I'm there. This may have been the time or the time after. I'm watching Bill Maher and like Pauly Shore have a conversation with each other, and the grotto is to my left. I look over in the grotto, and then there's these people like clearly having sex in there. It's like 2 groups, two couples in there having sex. And I see the security guard walking over, and I'm like rubbing my hands. I'm like, oh, he's about to get these motherfuckers. And Travis, you know what the security guard says?
No, what he said?
He goes, would you guys mind going in just a little bit further? just a little bit further. And I was like, what?
That's
it's like
amazing.
he didn't try to stop him or nothing, man. It was just so out in the open. I definitely saw when the room with the pinball machines, the game room, right?
Yes,
there's a bedroom in there, right?
I don't think I knew that. Is it like hidden?
It's hidden. So it's like it's almost like a wall panel. You go in there, and there's a bathroom back there too. And I saw a girl drag her boyfriend in there one time. It was just like to have sex at the Playboy Mansion, which is a good thing and a bad thing, I think.
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of wild. But yeah, I remember those incidents, and you're just in a different world. I'm not a big fan of Los Angeles. I mean, you live here, so maybe you kind of feel the same way I do. But those events, either, Night Party, Maxim Party, Playboy Mansion, those really do feel like a TV show. That feels like you're living in Instagram, right?
No, totally. And what I loved about it too is like, even though there was celebrities and stuff, it didn't feel that way. Like sometimes when you go out to like places in public or you're at like an event or a nightclub and you see celebrities, I mean, they're just covered with security or with people around them and they're kind of like hiding. Like at the Playboy Mansion, like there's just celebrities everywhere and everyone's just hanging out, like chilling. There's no, people aren't hiding or, security guards like ready for whatever. Like everybody's just chilling. Like there's no, people aren't like taking videos. Like everybody's just there for themselves, and it was an amazing experience.
One of the things I also noticed is when I was there is everyone's really nice to me. And they weren't nice to me because of who I was. They were nice to me because somehow my brown ass got in the Playboy Mansion. And they were trying to figure out who I was or how I got there. And until they figured it out, everyone was really nice to me.
Yeah, no, I thought that too. I'm like, okay, like I feel like everybody is somebody, so you have to be nice.
Yeah, I tell that to people all the time. Like when you talk about going on like the Marquee Sky Deck at EDC, or if you go on stage at Omnia, or if you go on stage at XS or something like that, any of those things, if you go on stage at Ultra, when you go to these places, a lot of people, the reason why the ticket prices are so high or those places are so exclusive is when you get there, everyone thinks you're someone.
Yeah.
Right? You're imbued with status even if you don't have it. Now, you are Tahlia Paris. You aren't imbued with status. You're just really pretty. Wherever you go, if you go to Walmart, you're imbued with status. But for normal people like me, when I go to places like that, the way I'm treated is just shockingly different to me because everyone thinks that I must, host a podcast or something, and they're just so nice. It's just really interesting. So now you do that, and I'm just going to point out one of the attributes about Tahlia Paris that a lot of you may not be aware of. Some women are like, oh my God, I'm going to pose for Playboy, so I'm going to make an exception, and now I'm going to pose nude. This is an exception for me. This is something I wouldn't normally do, and I would not pose nude for anyone else. In fact, I don't think that, like, say, for instance, Lindsay Palis, I think she's posed nude for Playboy, and that's about it. I don't think she's posed nude for anyone else. I don't know what she's done on OnlyFans, but I don't think she's posed nude for anyone else. Tahlia, I think it's a struggle sometimes for you to wear clothes. I thought you were going to do this podcast implied. I was like, there was a part of me that thought you were going to hold your hands over your boobs the whole time and do the podcast, which I wouldn't have stopped you. It would have been really funny, and it would have looked really cool on YouTube. But you don't have a problem with nudity.
No, not at all. I've always been very comfortable. Like even like growing up, I was a dancer growing up. So I would be like changing like outfits and stuff in the parking lot in between different dance sets. And I would literally just be like, just undressing in the parking lot, like no fucks. And my mom's like, get in the car. Like, what are you doing? Like people are going to see you. And I'm like, whatever, like it's fine. Like just always very comfortable in my own skin and my own body. And also I think like there's nothing wrong with some boobs. So I don't know. And I love my boobs. So why not show them?
There we go. She loves her boobs. So here's the thing. In Jamaica, you and I have been to, how many, 3 times, 4 times you've been to Jamaica for Paradise Challenge?
I think 3 or 4. Yeah.
It's weird because she just walks up to you naked. I'm looking at the camera here. She walks up to you naked, and it's like it's not even the slightest bit sexual. She's just having a normal conversation with you, and everyone else has clothes on, and she doesn't. She's naked. She's come to my room before. I was like watching a movie, and she's just naked. And I'm like, what? Like, are we dating? What the fuck's happening right now?
That's the best part about Jamaica is that it's a nude swingers resort. So you can literally walk around naked 24/7. And I imagine myself while I'm there the whole time, I'm literally just like running on the beach naked, like having like videos taken of me and like pictures and stuff.
Yes.
Get like a nice tan. It's the best thing ever.
I seeing you do that. So I'll be honest with you. I'm 43. I started taking testosterone probably about a year ago. Shout out to the Ageless Men's Clinic. They're not a sponsor, but they should be. When I started taking that, and I finally got back into shape like I was like when I was 19, 20. And then at Paradise Challenge, I started taking my clothes off all the time too. I became much more comfortable because the reality is no one gives a fuck. They don't. They want to look at the girls, but they don't care otherwise. And it was just one of these situations where I saw like you in a nude resort, you were more comfortable being nude than the nude people. And I just thought that was really crazy that it was just a strange attribute of yours. Not a strange attribute, but I'd never seen somebody so comfortable being nude.
Yeah.
Like I feel like you would do it at a nightclub if they'd let you get away with it.
Oh, totally. Yeah. No, today I actually even put some boob tape on my top because I was like, well, my boobs are going to come out. And I'm like, but it wouldn't be anything no one's ever seen before. So.
Travis, would you be able to blink that out on YouTube if we?
No, I would actually enhance it and zoom in.
I don't think
you want more views or. I'm joking.
That's awesome.
And I was thinking that I was like, maybe that'll get us some views.
There we go.
I get like a little nip slip going on.
I don't want. I see you like a sister. That would be weird. All right, so let's do this. No, it's funny because she walks up to me and she's naked, and I don't know if you notice this. I don't look down. I like look you dead direct in the eye. I'm like, I don't want this to be weird that my 19-year-old friend Tahlia Paris is looking me in the eye and she's naked.
Just so comfortable too.
Just so comfortable. And I think it makes me feel uncomfortable, and that's why you do it. So
that's why I love
it. So let's talk about this. Let's change it up a little bit. There's a lot of people who are going to listen to this, the first part of this. And this show, I've had a fighter pilot on. I'm going to have some psychologists on. At some point, I'm going to get some astrophysicists on. And we're going to talk about charity stuff. We're going to talk about all this kind of different stuff. But I do have a lot of girls on that are on Instagram, have OnlyFans, do stuff like that, right? They work in that industry. And I don't call, and CJ Sparks corrected me, they're not called Instagram models. They're called content creators because Instagram's not paying you, right? Instagram is screwing you over on a pretty frequent basis, right?
Yeah.
So what do you think about the judgmental nature of it? You just got on here and said, when you were 12 years old, you wanted to be in Playboy. I think that's awesome. When I was 12 years old, I wanted to run for president or become an astronaut until I joined the Air Force and realized how much I don't like flying. That was something that I had dreamed of doing. So what do you think about the judgmental nature of it? I think what you're doing is admirable. This is a career path that you've chosen. It's hard work that I think a lot of people don't recognize. What would you say to something like that?
Well, coming from Santa Barbara, it's a very small town and very closed-minded as well. So me kind of leaving Santa Barbara and going to LA and being in Playboy, I remember people would always call me a porn star. They're like, oh, like Tahlia's doing porn now, she's doing porn. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing porn. I'm modeling naked on the internet. And it's for Playboy and various other companies that are, such as Playboy. So no, I'm not doing porn, and I have nothing against porn. It's just not for me. And that was like the most frustrating thing, because I'm like, no, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't really care what people think. Like, sure, like I'm a porn star, like think whatever you want, like whatever, honestly, it's whatever you think.
But as far as a career path, this is work. Can you describe that part? This is all the things that you have to deal with, having a team, marketing, the way, I don't know if you edit your own photos, or the traveling, all the other stuff you have to do. You got to go to the gym all the time. You're at Fit Club, LB?
Yes,
You're
Fit Club, yeah.
Shout out to Fit Club. I've not made it out there yet. I'm not in good enough shape, but I will go to Fit Club at some point. They've invited me. Very, very nice people there. So can you talk about that, the whole business part of it?
It's a lot of work, honestly. I try to work out as much as I can. Like that is honestly like my main job. I do as much photo shoots I can, like with actual photographers, as well as when I do like my OnlyFans content, it's all home. So it's just me setting up with my own lights, my own phone camera, and I'm just doing my own little videos and pictures. And honestly, they like that the most, I've noticed. They like the more personalized
I've seen
stuff.
That too. The iPhone camera stuff seems to be like, it seems more salacious, more like it's a conspiracy. Not a conspiracy, but it's like something like secret.
Yeah, like they're there, like it's for more specifically them. It's not just
or it's a leaked video that wasn't supposed to get out, right?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Like Tommy Lee and something like that. Although that obviously wasn't a phone camera, but you know what I'm saying. It seems like something that wasn't supposed to get out.
Yeah, but no, it's definitely a lot of work. And even like on my OnlyFans, like it's constantly work. It's answering messages, it's going live, it's it's going and even like doing like my upkeep, like getting my hair done, getting my nails and getting my eyelashes, eyebrows, like it's constant, facials, like every day. Like even though I don't have like a 9-to-5 like job, I do have a job, and I'm constantly busy. I'm constantly working on myself, constantly getting content. So it's totally like a full time.
It's funny. You lived in LA for the first 5 years I knew you.
Yeah.
You live here now, and I see you less now that you live like 10 blocks away from me, because I think you work more.
I think I've been working a lot more. And also I think too, since the pandemic, like I am even more of a homebody now. Like I really just love being home. Like it's very rare that I step out now, unless it's like I'm like getting paid or Okay,
hold on, wait. So Travis, you hear what she's saying here? So before I'm 18, I'm 19, I'm going to the Playboy Mansion. Fuck yes, I'm so excited. I'm in it for the love of the game. Right. Mm-hmm. And now it's like, I'm not going out unless I'm getting paid. That's what I'm saying.
I got to do it for a check.
By the time she's 24, she's like, I got to get paid before I go out. And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. That's awesome. That's awesome that transition. But I see this with a lot of people, right? Where it's like, because you had so much of it offered to you. I personally, I would be 55 years old. I would never get tired of going to Playboy Mansion. But I understand for some people, they're like, oh, well, I've done this before. So it's kind of a different situation. You and I know each other because of several charities. I believe you've been to Smash Global.
I have once before, yes. I actually remember they had an event, and I think it was like a workout event or something. And everybody was in workout clothes.
That is the Model Citizen Fund.
Oh, okay.
You came to the Model Citizen Fund for Dan's birthday, Dan Fleischman's birthday. Shout out to Dan Fleischman. He's having his birthday party on the 29th of August, and I was going to invite you to that too.
Ooh,
I don't know. Yes.
No, but I was so embarrassed because I showed up, and I remember me and my girlfriend that I was with, we had on these like nice dresses.
Holy shit, I remember this.
Yes, and then everybody else was in like workout clothes, and everyone's like looking at us like, why are these girls in like gowns right now?
Did you smoke before that?
No, I don't think I smoked back then, honestly.
I remember either you drunk or smoking or something, but you came up to me and you were like, I can't believe it. I was
so embarrassed.
That's okay. I absolutely remember this now. And I have video of it. I absolutely interviewed you. I totally remember that day. Yeah, we were all wearing workout gear. So yeah, this one's going to be a pizza party that he's doing. It's like the world's largest pizza party.
So maybe I should wear some pizza or something.
Yeah, you could. If you wore pizza, I think nobody would have any problem with that whatsoever. Smash Global, the MMA one. You remember coming to the MMA?
Oh yes, I did do that one as well. That was really cool. I like UFC and stuff like that. So fights and stuff are great.
So people who don't know, Model Citizen Fund, they build backpacks for people who are for orphanages. They build backpacks for women from domestic abuse charities, and then they build backpacks for people who are homeless. When I say backpacks, these are backpacks that have instruments to survive, everything from like a shelter to shoes to all kinds of stuff like that they put in the backpacks, and then the influencers will actually go out and give these backpacks out to people. So it's extremely practical. 100% of the money from Model Citizen Fund goes to putting these backpacks together, and it is Dan Fleischman who puts that whole thing together. He's doing his birthday party on August 29th, and 100% of the proceeds, he's going to match everything that he makes. All that goes to Model Citizen Fund. So that's Model Citizen Fund. The Smash Global, that is one where it's an anti-bullying charity that you guys would come and support, and we'd sell tickets for that, and it would go to an anti-bullying charity. There was also another charity. One of the anti-bullying charities was actually an MMA gym where they would actually give MMA instruction to inner city kids and stuff like that. So I thought that was terrific. And then obviously Babes in Toyland is the biggest one that we do. Yes. We do it every year, 3 or 4 times a year, and that is either for the Downtown Dog Rescue, Operation Blankets of Love, the Midnight Mission, or we may be doing one for the Stray Cat Alliance. We did one for the Shade Tree here in Las Vegas, which is a domestic abuse shelter. The main thing, and when I interview you, this is part of the reason why, is because you can get a lot of eyeballs to a thing. You and Lindsay Palas and Abigail Ratchford and Emily Sears and CJ Sparks and Kylie Myers and Sarita Natividad, and I can go on and name another 70 more girls. You guys have a superpower. And the superpower is it's not just that you're pretty, because in 1985 a pretty girl was pretty and she could go out to a club or whatever, but she was just the people she knew. You guys can reach millions of individuals, and you use that superpower in order to raise money for different charities. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I've been involved with Babes in Toyland, I think, since I was 19 or 20 years old. I actually remember the first time I went, I had a problem getting in because I wasn't 21.
I remember that as well.
So I think I figured out how to get in through like the back door or whatever. I wasn't able to walk the red carpet or anything, which I was super bummed about. But yeah, I've been involved with it now for 4 going on 5 years, I think. And it's just so amazing to see, like the very pretty girls coming together for such a great cause. And yeah, it is much more than like just these pretty girls. Like we are all coming together for, raising money for different causes. And like you get to meet so many people. Like there's so many different people that I've met, like whether it's companies that I've worked with or whatever. And yeah, I've always loved doing the Babes in Toyland.
So we're going to get dressed up anyway. You're going to see a bunch of people that you work with anyway. It kind of does feel like the prom. I've always said it kind of feels like prom night whenever
No, it totally does. Yeah. And you see like all the same people, and like you get to catch up, and you get to get all pretty, get glammed, walk the red carpet, obviously talk to Michael. So yeah, no, it's a great thing. And I always at least try to do it once or twice a year, even though there is more than 2. But yeah, I try to stay as involved as I can.
So I think that's great, because what Steve Fowler, by the way, he's the one who had this whole idea, and same thing with Steve Orozco, and same thing with Dan Fleischman. What they understood was we were going to do this anyway. We were going to do this whole party thing anyway. Why don't we just do it for good? Because look at the incredible, like massive power that we have in order to do these things, and able to raise hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars for charity because of what these girls were able to do. That's one of the great things I found. Crystal Hefner actually supports the Hugh Hefner Foundation, which supports First Amendment rights. Now, this is an interesting charity. I just found out about it recently. And basically, the Hugh Hefner Foundation is basically, you understand, when in 1953, Well, December 1953 was Marilyn Monroe does Playboy. She's the centerfold on Playboy, and from that point forward, there were people just trying to ban him. He had been trying to be censored for so long. You think it's hard now? Imagine 1953 having a nude magazine, right?
Yeah.
And so since then, he has always been a proponent of the First Amendment, and I am too. By the way, like I was in the U.S. military. I don't kneel when they play the national anthem, but I support anyone's right to kneel if they choose to, because that's their First Amendment right. And so that's a different kind of charity that people are supporting. Which goes back to what I was saying before. Let's go back to OnlyFans and let's talk about your ability to express yourself. Now, you let me ask you something. I'm going to ask Travis this, and I'm going to ask you, Travis, what would you consider porn?
Penis and vagina.
That is exactly what I consider to be porn also. It's really weird because some people actually call us sexist for believing that, for feeling that way. I think a woman being nude by herself, I cannot and do not consider that pornography. I don't. And I know maybe that's because I'm jaded. Do you feel the same way?
It also, I think it depends on the intent of
Okay.
it. So, I mean, if it's meant for like modeling, then that's one thing. If it's meant for, I guess, Pornhub, then it's porn. But I guess it's the intent and, I guess the penis and vagina thing.
Yeah. Well, what do you think? What would you consider porn?
I mean, I think for me, I would consider porn like any kind of touching. So even like fingers or, I don't know. Like, I don't think like if you're naked, if you're even like bent over, fully naked, I don't think it's porn. But I do think if there's any kind of, I guess, insertions or anything like that, or obviously like penis in the mouth, anything like that, then yes, I think that is like the fine line of porn.
I'm so excited to see how YouTube accepts this video. Talking about penis in the mouth. I'm very excited how they take that.
I tried to say it as nice as I could. I wanted to
take
say
that completely out of context. So I agree with you. By the way, nothing wrong with anyone who does porn. But the thing is, I think when we see someone just pose nude in an artistic way, then we consider that porn. And there's nothing in Playboy I consider to be porn.
Well, I remember someone argued with me. They're like, "Oh, you do porn because people are able to fornicate to your pictures." And I'm like, wait. I'm like, you can fornicate to a picture of feet, to a picture of a girl in a bathing suit. So how is that porn?
Yeah.
So that like pissed me off. I'm like, no, just because someone can fornicate to it, like you can literally fornicate to anything.
Yes, you can.
So
or masturbate to anything. I don't. If you fornicate to feet, that'd be interesting. Like you're watching feet, and then you call your girlfriend to come over. That'd be interesting. So look at Chad.
Sorry.
Fornicate, masturbate, get off on it.
Exactly, get off on it. So now we're in the situation where we have OnlyFans. So you heard, I think you listened to the podcast with CJ Sparks. And we talked about OnlyFans and, the judgmental nature that comes with it. Now, for me, I think what's lost on a lot of people, obviously it's not an issue for you, but for a lot of people, you do understand. I know a girl right now who makes $300,000 a month and used to be an escort. She used to be an escort. Now, I don't give a fuck what sort of judgment you have towards her or what she does for a living. The fact of the matter is she doesn't have to be an escort anymore.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing. There's no dude who's strong-arming her, asking her for money. There's no dude threatening to extort her or physically try to hurt her. And she gets, obviously, OnlyFans gets their cut. I think it's like 20% or whatever. She gets 80% of the revenue that she generates from selling her own art, whatever you want to call it, her own media, and she doesn't have to be a fucking escort anymore. If you have a problem with that, this is your issue and not anyone else's. Net, I think OnlyFans is a good thing. I do. There's some bad parts about it. Well, hold on. Let's go over that part first. The independence that you are able to do, you are able to have now because you create your own media, goes direct straight to your clients.
No, it's amazing. And even like what you're just saying, like about that girl, it's like she's able to now stay home. She's able to not go out. Like she isn't risking anything. She's safe. And I mean, yeah, whether it's like STDs or someone like hurting her, like she doesn't have to go physically be with anyone. Like she gets to stay home, keep her door locked and have that barrier between, the internet and her, which is just amazing. And obviously much better than having to like be out in person and like risking herself.
So, and also for those of you who are going to be like, oh, well, she didn't have to be an escort. You need to learn when you meet someone in these situations, of course, I would never wish that on anybody. But if you meet someone in these situations, you don't know their life situation or whether or not their passport was withheld from them and they were extorted and told to. That's what human trafficking is. You need to become educated in these situations before you start blaming every single person who was ever a sex worker and just immediately demonizing them. Learn the situation first. Learn about the physical abuse, the domestic abuse that happened before. Learn about the drug addiction and learn about the human trafficking before you just ad hoc say that every person who's a prostitute is a bad person. I don't participate with prostitutes, but I know some people here who are good people who came from that lifestyle and changed their life and became something else. And the fact that they don't have to do that anymore. One of the big problem I have with the whole situation is the physical abuse and the extortion and stuff like that. And you take a lot of it out because of OnlyFans. Now, here's the bad part of OnlyFans, and this bad part is it does create for some people, not you, because you say you're not doing boy-girl stuff, but it does create for some people an incentive to film online sexual acts with people who they may be in a relationship or they may not be in a relationship. And I know for some girls, and maybe you've heard this before, I have one friend of mine, she did one boy-girl scene with her boyfriend and never did another one. And she made so much money from that she literally got back with the dude to go film with him again to make this money. Oh, wow. And she's like yo-yoing into a toxic relationship because of this situation. Have you ever heard of this?
Yeah, no, that's not good, honestly. Yeah, you need to stay away. It's not worth the money.
Right. But I mean, it's just one of these situations where it creates a moral hazard.
Yeah.
Right. Where now one of the things that I've heard is like, so for instance, I have two friends, so Caitlin Runk and Kylie Myers, they've never done nude. They make a lot of money. They make 7 figures on OnlyFans. They've never done nude. Wow. And so for them, like they don't, whenever they do nude, if they ever do it someday, like Kylie told me someday she'll do it and she'll sell it for like some insane amount of money, like an NFT or something like that. Because they don't do that, then when they go to that next level, then they can make some money on that. But once they go to that next level, it's really hard to come back, right? And that's also a difficulty where a lot of girls are going to make so much money so fast doing porn, and then it's hard to switch back from there. Yeah,
I actually remember I worked with a couple girls on my OnlyFans, like when I really first started to get into it. And the one girl who was helping me, she did everything, boy, girl. She had like a fuck machine. She had dildos, like everything. And I obviously am just doing, Playboy style nudity. And I was making more than her. And she was, teaching me the ropes and everything. And I remember she would get kind of like upset because she's like, how are you making more money than me? And I'm out here with this fuck machine and fucking people and this and that. But it's just, I don't know, like, and you can't go back. And she's like, I wish I could go back. I wish I could just start doing like what you're doing. But it's like, once you hit that threshold of like, whether it's having sex or touching yourself, like it's very hard to go back.
It is. So
same thing with nudity.
Yes.
Like it would be hard for me now to be like, okay, now I'm going to be clothed on my OnlyFans because everyone's going to be like, well, we want to see the tits. Like that's what we're here for.
Hey Siri, Google Tahlia Paris nude. Let's see.
Jesus. Yeah, my computer went off.
Did it?
Yeah.
You could just put in Tahlia Paris and it's all nude anyway.
Hilarious. Okay, cool.
I mean, it's all my Playboy stuff though, so it's all high quality. It's good stuff.
Absolutely. So, and the other thing is, you look like your pictures. I'm just gonna be honest with you. You do.
Thank you.
Which is why
I love hearing that. I remember like when I first started stepping out, people would tell me that they're like, wow, like you actually are just as pretty in person, if not prettier. And I'm like, wow, like thank you. Like that's really good to hear because I have met a few people where, online they're very pretty and then you meet them in person and you're like, oh, that's not what you look like.
And shout out to Las Vegas because all those people you're talking about, they live in LA.
That's why you got to be careful with the Photoshop. Like, trust me, like, of course, every girl, like, smooths up their pictures a little bit, takes it in a tiny bit or whatever, but you can't do it to the point where it's like when you step out in public, people are like, she's not that tiny or her ass isn't that big or like she has a ton of acne or like whatever it is. Like, you have to be careful.
Is that why you moved to Vegas, by the way?
For what?
But well, see, the thing is, I said this before to CJ, I was like, in LA, you got to look good on camera. In Vegas, you got to look good in person.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
That's very interesting.
Because you do. There's no way you can't get hired at Wet Republic or Marquee or Encore Beach Club if you just have good pictures on Instagram.
Yeah, all the bottle service girls, yeah.
Correct. So like, I love this place because you can't fake it. You can't fake the bill for the $10K minimum a dance floor at Omnia. You can't. You got to pay the bill.
Otherwise, you got to stay home. If you're out editing your pictures like that, you can't step out.
And you can't get hired at, like, I don't know if you guys know Masha Diddick. Masha Diddick looks like her photos, right? She's 6 feet tall and she looks like her photos. If she didn't look like her photos, she wouldn't. Like, Masha could get hired at any pool in the city. She would just wave her hand. I'm exaggerating. Masha's probably gonna get mad at me for saying this, but like any pool in the city is gonna hire her because she looks like her photos. Other girls come here. 7,000-8,000 girls will come here every year they'll line up. They used to be outside of LAX, which was inside of the Luxor. They would line up and they would, I don't know where they do it now, but there's these major auditions that they do. You will wait for 17 hours to get an audition. They make you stand on a box. There's these lights that shine on you. You're in your bikini, and then they start asking you questions about being a bottle server. Very, very difficult.
Yeah, wow.
And you have all that. And then from there, then you go to Wet Republic, and every girl there looks like an Adonis. Every girl there looks like just ripped abs and just incredibly, like, perfectly fit.
Yeah,
and you
bodies.
wonder where they come from. Yeah, the girls at Wet Republic, it's just insane. Like, if there was a squatting competition amongst every nightclub or day club in the entire world, Wet Republic would win the squatting competition.
Oh, for sure.
Squat and deadlift competition amongst cocktail servers, they would win.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's one of these situations where it becomes very difficult. And so now you move here. Now I have a question, because you have let me see what's the best way to see this. You are aware of several relationships I've been in, and I'm aware of several relationships you've been in. We're not going to talk about anything specific, but the hardest thing about dating Tahlia Paris is what?
I don't know. I would just say the hardest thing is I really like honesty. And a lot of these guys in LA, Vegas, and honestly, LA and Vegas, it's the same people. Like if you're in Vegas, if you live in Vegas, you're in LA constantly. If you're in LA, you're in Vegas constantly. Like you're back and forth, girls, guys, whatever it is. I've dated people from both, and just honesty is so important to me. And also like, I hate when someone tells me like, oh, like I'm going to call you like when I get home tonight or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then they don't do it.
Yeah.
Like that would piss me off so bad. Cause it's like, whether they're out with like their friends or whatever it is, it's like, okay, just like call me when you get home so I know that you're home. And then they don't do it.
Right.
So like, that's like the number one thing for me is just like honesty and coming through like with your word, like being honest and pulling through.
I've said this before. It's not the cheating; it's the lying.
Yeah, it's the lying for sure.
It's the
if
line.
you cheat, like then tell me. Like, you know, it's much more than just. I don't know. It's just being honest.
Have you ever been in an open relationship?
No, I never have. Honestly, as much as I would like to think I could be in one, especially after like going to Jamaica and stuff and seeing all the swingers and stuff. And they are so happy, by the way. Like these couples that are like married, like they've been married for like 30 years and they have like kids and they're all off in college and they're married and happy. And they're just like swingers. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like maybe this is like the key to like a happy relationship is being open, being a swinger. But I get pretty jealous. And I'm not insecure, but in relationships sometimes, like I very much so, I like to be reassured. Like you are the only girl I'm talking to, whatever. Like I like to be reassured. So I don't know. I don't think I could be in an open relationship.
Has someone tried to get you into one?
No.
Okay.
No.
So describe the feel. You just don't feel like, you understand it's an issue for me personally. You can obviously understand why.
Yeah.
I host Babes in Toyland, or I host a bikini competition. Whoever I'm dating, they're either really comfortable with it because they like girls, or they're not comfortable with it at all because they just don't like the situation. And all my female friends are totally fine with it because we're not dating.
Yeah.
You understand? So it's easier for me to be friends. But you just would not be able to do that at all.
I think someone like you, I would just have to be involved. Like
Right.
it would have to be like, okay, like I know, like, and I would have to trust you, obviously, which I know trust is earned. But I think at first, yeah. And especially if I wasn't like involved in the same scene, like say like I wasn't a model, I wasn't going to these events,
Right.
it would be very difficult for me to date somebody like you.
Oh, great.
But
Yeah.
because I am into it and I know all the same people and stuff, it's like, okay, like first of all, if he does something, I'm going to hear about
Yes.
it. So like, we're all like, you know.
Isn't that the craziest part? Because we're so in that scene, I know about my friends cheating on each other, and they don't.
That's
even,
what like
they
I
don't
love
even
about
know.
Vegas and LA too. Is it's like if you're dating someone, like you might not hear about it today or tomorrow if they're cheating on you, but like you're gonna hear about it. Like
bruh.
it's so small.
Oh.
It's all the same people. It's you're gonna hear about it.
So the hardest part about dating you would be what?
The hardest part, and also I would just say is being secure. The hardest part. My ex-boyfriend it's been like 4 or 5 years, but one of the main things why he broke up with me was because I won Cyber Girl of the Year. And he actually told me, he's like, if you win Cyber Girl of the Year, he's like, I'm going to break up with you. He's like, I don't want to do this anymore. And it's funny because when we first started dating, he thought it was the coolest thing. Like I had just gotten my first shoot with Playboy. We had just started dating. I'm like, oh, I have a shoot with Playboy. And he's like, oh my gosh, like my girlfriend, like she's so hot. And now she's going to be a Playboy model and it's so cool. And then as time went on, he started to get less and less secure.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, but just something hit him and he was very insecure. And then it drove me crazy. And I'm like, you need to like let me kind of do my own thing. I need to go to these events.
So let me ask you something. The two of you had not been with anyone else.
No.
Right? Okay. And you were comfortable with that rule and he was comfortable with that rule until he wasn't, right?
Yes, yeah.
So and let me ask you something. You'd be comfortable with that also, right? If your man did something where he was around a lot of women, as long as he was not having sexual intercourse with the other women, you'd be fine with it, right?
I think so,
or some
yeah.
sort of deep emotional relationship also, right?
Yeah, no, as long as you're just being respectful to me, you know, like even like little things, like if you're like out like flirting and stuff,
Yeah.
because it's just like, then it would look bad on me. And it's
Correct.
like, oh, isn't that Tahlia Paris's boyfriend like flirting with that girl over there? Like, it's just like a respect thing.
And you had the respect thing for him, even though you won Cyber Girl of the Year. Did he feel like you did something disrespectful? Because this is always a question for me. To me, it's like if I'm dating a model, because I've dated, believe it or not, I've dated models who go to Greece, they shoot nude or implied or whatever, then they come back and we're still dating. And I know a lot of guys who would never fucking allow that in a million years. I have driven girls that I've dated to photo shoots where they're going to shoot nude. And I'm like, all right, babe, have a good time. Hope everything goes well. Yeah. And I talk to my guy friends about it and they're like, no fucking way I would ever do what you just did, right? And it was like, she's not sleeping with anybody else, so I don't care. Is that the rule you had with him?
Yeah.
And that wasn't good enough.
No, yeah, it wasn't good enough. And I was very loyal to him. Like I remember I had just turned 21 when we were still dating. Like I came to Vegas and even like I was out and about, of course.
I remember all of this now. I remember all of this now.
Yeah. So I was out partying and stuff because, you know, I was legally 21. So I was able to use my real ID instead of my fake ID. But I was very loyal to him. I would never cheat on anyone because to me, it's just like, then don't be with that person. Like literally break up with them and then go hook up with whoever else or do whatever else. I've never understood cheating, honestly. So I was very loyal to him. But honestly, the fact that he was so insecure, it almost drove me to like want to. Like it made me kind of like hate him. I'm like, I don't want to be with you anymore. Like I want to go break up with you and do something else because you're like making me crazy.
It's really interesting. So I've noticed a couple things. This is going to be anecdotal. Again, I can't prove this. I don't have any math behind this. But I have never seen a girl in a relationship with a guy, then she gets a boob job, then she stays with the same guy. I've never seen it happen. Have you?
Really? I don't know. I'd have to think about it, but I don't think so.
I've never, ever. A guy pays for the boob job. They always seem to break up afterwards. There's a lot of people listening to this right now like, oh, shit, right? What happens is, what I've seen is the guy, all of a sudden his company goes public, or the girl, she ends up in Playboy, and now there's a difference in average status between the two. Whereas for a woman, her status is a lot of things, but mainly it is her physical appearance, especially when she's younger or when you first meet her. And for a man, it's also his physical appearance, but not as much so. But his status and maybe his income and stuff like that would or his charisma would determine his overall status. If you have one of these people, he's like an average guy, and then he becomes a famous boxer, a famous comedian, a famous whatever, and his wife did not make that jump with him, or the same thing where his wife becomes a playmate or whatever, or gets her own podcast or whatever, and the husband did not make that jump with him, then you get this it's attractive differential quotient. I think that was the scientific term for it. And then that's when you end up having these significant problems. That seems like that's what happened with you.
No, totally.
He had a hot girl who was in Playboy. Now he has the hot girl in Playboy. And now it becomes an issue because he knows that every Saudi Arabian sultan and fucking NBA small forward is going to be in your DMs trying to get at you.
Yeah, I was at all these different parties with celebrities, and he's still at home in Santa Barbara.
And you couldn't bring him. That's the other thing.
And I couldn't bring him.
So this is the other thing with me. It's like when the girls are when I'm seeing somebody and they're like, oh, I'm going to go to this party. I'm like, yeah, I know. I was already invited. You know, it's like, it's not, it's like, oh, you're going to the Playboy Mansion? I'm like, okay, I'll see you there.
Yeah, I'll be there too.
I'll be there too.
That's nice.
So that was the thing that made it easier for me. But then I see my guy friends and they would just be like, dude, how do I get into this? What's going on? And a lot of times I'd be asked to spy on my friends. I'm like, bro, I'm not going to do that for you.
Yeah.
But that would happen frequently. And then most of my guy friends meet their girlfriends through me, and so I'm friends with both of them, which makes things really awkward when they break up, right?
Yeah.
That happens, that frequently happens often too. I'm sure you've seen situations like that before.
Yeah, and then you're caught in the middle.
Then you're kind of caught in the middle.
It's the worst.
Your favorite people in the industry to work with, photographers or models or groups or whomever?
I would say my number one would be Holly Randall. She's just amazing in everything that she's done for Playboy, and even hearing like her mom's story and everything, Suze Randall, it's just amazing. Like it just runs in the family, the photography and everything. But other than that, I always love working with party like JZL, James, he's amazing. Girls on Glass, Keith, he's also amazing. Love their work, love working with them. Also Smolder Photography, Steve, he's amazing. He lives here in Vegas now, so I'm going to start using him
I hang out with Steve
more.
every weekend now.
He's so much fun. I know. I actually was out the other night and I ran into him and I was like, oh, what's up? Like, and then we ended up shooting the other day because we ran into each other. But yeah, so I have like a few photographers that I constantly stay working with. Oh, and then of course, Chris Applebaum with Eats. He is amazing. I was actually signed with a company that he was involved in a few months ago. And they were helping me with like my accounts and everything. And we were doing a lot of content. So once a month I was able to work with him, which was the most amazing experience. And I got amazing content that is just like, and I sold it for so much money.
I feel like because when one of the photos you do, I feel like they're sexy without being sexual with you. Does that make sense? And it's maybe because I see you in a different light, but I don't with some girls, they'll do something that's where they're implied or nude or something, or maybe not even nude, and it's suggestive. And I don't feel like it's that with you. I don't feel like it's suggestive. I was like, I look good naked. Get ready because I'm going to be fucking naked. That's what it feels like. Does that seem accurate?
Yeah, I think like when I was younger too, that people always said I had like the girls next door look. So it's kind of like the more like it's sexy, but it's more like cute sexy, not so like have like fuck me now. It's like more like, oh, like I'm cute and like I'm also naked and.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. Two things I want to talk about is DJ Tahlia Paris.
Yes. So I've been DJing now for like a year and a half, I believe. I started like right before the pandemic, sadly, and then everything shut down. But it was kind of nice because I was able to, all of quarantine, just get super stoned and sit and work on my music all day. So I was able to practice. And I haven't DJed anywhere big yet, but I am doing a music festival in October. It's called Blended, and it's in San Diego. And I am so excited for that. Like the Chainsmokers are going to be there, Nelly, all these amazing people. I don't know if you know John Bozzo, but he's the one. Yeah, so John Bozzo's putting it on. He's great. He's actually the one who, is kind of throwing me a bone and letting me do this, which is super nice of him. So I've always loved music. I grew up as a dancer, so beats and stuff have always been kind of like in my nature. So it's just kind of like the next step, I guess.
So I want you to play Top 40. You're going to do that, obviously. You can do that, right?
Top 40?
Oh, yeah.
Like hip-hop and stuff?
Can you?
I can. No, honestly, like my library ranges anywhere between hip-hop to I have EDM and then house.
So that's what I was going to say. House music is what I mostly hear you play.
Yeah. So house is like my favorite, like the Chris Lake, like Fisher kind of stuff like that. But I literally like my playlist. Like I can go to a party and someone could be like, play Drake, and I could play Drake, or like play... I don't know, Steve Aoki. Like I have Steve Aoki. So I have like all kinds of different genres. The only thing I don't have, which I've been kind of wanting to do, is country. Yeah, you want to do country music. I like country music.
I am very excited to be your MC for that. When we do country music. I will
do you like country music?
I will bring out my Texas accent. No, if you do a country, not particularly, but if you do a country set, I will be there.
I love country 100%.
music. 100%.
And I know some people don't, but
I think it's coming back.
Yeah.
Right? I think it's
more poppy now.
Yes.
It's not so like, like twangy, and it's more like pop and better beats.
Your clothing line.
So Shop Tahlia Paris is something that I took actually a few months to work on. And at first I had like this whole other line drawn up, and it was something to do with Playboy. But then I was like, shoot, I don't think that I have the rights obviously to use like the Playboy logo or any of that. So I changed it up and I made it I'm with the DJ, which has to do with like my music and everything. And it's kind of like an inside joke between me and my friends, because I've been to so many music festivals. I've been to so many concerts, and we're usually like backstage, so like me and my friends kind of like mess around. We're like, oh, like I'm with the band, or like I'm with the DJ, so I made t-shirts, and like one of them says like I'm with the DJ really big. It's kind of like a joke, but it's like, it's cute. Like,
so let's talk about that a little bit. Stage life. Okay. It's a different world.
Yeah.
Right. Because when I first moved here, I was like, every time I would get on stage at, wherever Hakkasan or XS, I was like, oh my God, I can't, or backstage with Surrender, EBC. Like, oh my God, or Marquis Skydeck at EDC. It's a different world. Everyone just seems to be happy, and everyone's looking around at everyone else, and you're kind of off your phone a little bit because you never know if Paris Hilton's going to step on your foot, or what's going to happen, right? But then right outside of stage life, there's a guy at a really mean looking bouncer, and he doesn't want to hear shit you have to say. and these people are like fighting to get in, and you're texting some guy who's like, oh, can you get me in? And you're like, I'm not sure if I can get you in. Can you talk about the whole hustle and bustle of that?
So the screwed up thing is now, because I have been like backstage at Coachella, at Stagecoach, at EDC, at all these places, now it's like I go to any other music festival, and if I'm not backstage, it's like I can't even do it. I'm like, you're getting like pushed around, you know, and it's like there's too many people, and it's very different, and I'm very, I guess, spoiled in that way. And I know it's kind of like shitty to say, but it's just like it's so hard to like go backwards and appreciate, you know, being in like the crowd and stuff like that, because being on stage is just like the most amazing thing ever.
Because you're seeing it from the DJ's point of view.
Yeah, you're seeing it from the DJ's point of view, and you have room, and you can breathe, and you can kind of do your own thing, and it's so much cooler. Like I've been like at EDC where I'm like in the middle of like the walkway, and like everyone's like looking at me like thinking like, who is she? You know, like why is she?
Yeah.
Like,
So for those of you who don't know, at EDC, at the some of the biggest places, there's a walkway that goes down the middle of the audience, and the reason why this is actually there for is for EMTs, so that they can get to people if there's somebody who collapses or whatever. There's no way for them to get through a crowd of 30,000 people. So there's literally a walkway that separates the right crowd from the left crowd. And so she's talking about walking down that walkway,
walking in the middle.
And people will look at you. I have found the same thing, and I do the opposite. At least once a month, I go walk onto the dance floor of some. Now, obviously, I'm a 220-pound brown man, so it's a little different for me. But I walk onto the dance floor at nightclubs, and I just stand there and like just be with this because I remember what it was like when I first moved here in 2011. I didn't know anybody. And sometimes I like literally, like my friends are like, why are we waiting in this line? Go tell your friends. I'm like, nah, I'm cool. Let's just wait in the line for a little bit. I don't want to be an asshole. Like chill. Like let's respect their job. Sometimes I don't mind waiting in line. Sometimes I literally will take my ass onto a dance floor and just remind myself like, oh man, this is what it was like. Whenever I go to EDC, I always go to the bass pod, which is the dubstep. All they play is dubstep and trap music, and I always get into a mosh pit. I get into a fucking mosh pit with a bunch of 18-year-olds, and we're just throwing our bodies around and all this kind of stuff. And then I go back to the Marquee Sky Deck, and everyone's like, "Where were you? Why are you sweating? And where are these bruises and this blood coming from?" And I was like, "Man, I went to watch 12th Planet in Flux Pavilion over at Dr. P."
Yeah, and everyone's up there like with their like martini glass. Like,
God, dude, it's like,
why would you ever do that?
This is so boring. I was like, "Come on, man, let's go to the bass pod." And I'm like, "Get the fuck out of here! I'm not going to the bass pod with those unwashed people."
Yeah,
you know. So it's interesting. I like to at least, not every time, but frequently, I like to just walk in the middle of a dance floor and just remember, you know, what this issue was like. And so, because I've been the same way. I always want to find some gratitude for it. Because you know what happens? You know what boredom is? Boredom is when you're not grateful for the fact that you and me don't live in the 17th century. Because life would be a lot worse for both of us, right? There ain't no antibiotics, you know, all kinds of racial and misogynistic stereotypes and all this kind of stuff. We live in 2021, where our biggest problem is, oh my God, it took me 4 minutes to get on stage at this fucking club. And can you believe that my Postmates was late? That's the thing that we're worried about. It's like, oh my God, I took the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. I didn't take the Pfizer one. What's wrong with my life? Those are the biggest things we worry about. So like the gratitude that we have to feel, just the fact, like, listen, man, look at this studio here, Sticky Paws. The fact, look at all these cameras that we have here, all these different angles. We can do this. Do you know how difficult it is even to do this in LA? And we're doing this here. You parked out in front of the place, and there's
no, I know.
This is
so nice.
It's just so great. And you like every day I try to take a step. And I look at my 2 cats, because I have 2 rescues, and I say, hey, man, if these cats would be dead if I didn't rescue them, let me be grateful for that. Let me be grateful for the fact that Tahlia Paris can come on, and we have a conversation, and I'm not trying to be weird or lascivious. I'm sure, like, there's some other podcast you could go on, they'd be like, yeah, what's this, and get really fucking sexual. But I know you like a human being, and so I try to have a different relationship with you, that I got a guy like Travis here, who's a really great producer, John Orlando, that I live in a city like Las Vegas. I'm grateful that a city like Las Vegas exists for us to have this level of abundance, and just how fucking incredible that whole thing is.
Exactly.
I want to ask everyone who's done this, because you've lived in both places, dating in LA versus dating in Vegas. What are the differences for you?
Honestly, I would say it's pretty similar. I haven't dated too much in Vegas yet, because I'm still pretty like new here. But dating in LA, I don't know. Like, I remember one time I was dating this guy for a little bit, and I think we were on like the 3rd date maybe, and like we went to dinner, and we had gone back to his hotel room after, and he was trying to have sex with me.
Shut the fuck up, girl.
I know.
Wait, hold on. Travis, a guy went on a date with her and tried to have sex with her.
What?
The audacity.
So rude.
He's supposed to get his paperwork done first. Go ahead.
So like we're on like the third date, and we went back to his hotel room. He's trying to have sex with me, and like I still wasn't like feeling it yet. Like for me, it's not even like a number of dates or whatever. Like I'm like, oh, like I need like a minimum of 5 dates or whatever. It's more like if I'm feeling it or not. And so with him, like I wasn't there yet, and so he's trying to have sex with me, and he looks at me and he's like, "But you're a Playboy model," and I'm like, "So because I'm a Playboy model, does that mean that I just have sex with whoever, whenever? And because I'm on the third date with you, that means I'm just gonna have sex with you now? Like I should just drop my panties?" So I remember like LA was a lot like that. It was very much so like, oh, well, like I bought you dinner. So like, are we gonna have sex now? And it's like, no, that's not how it works. Yeah. Transactional. And also I like long-term, like I don't like to go out. I've never had a one night stand in my life. I'm not like go out, like fuck whoever, have sex with whoever. I like long-term, like I like relationships. I'm in it for the long haul. So like these like little like short-term, hey, like let's go out and like have dinner and have sex. Like that's not fun for me. Like I'd rather just stay home.
Right.
So
it's interesting. So we talk about evolutionary psychology a lot on the show. It's one of my favorite things to talk about. Have I ever discussed this with you? Evolutionary theory?
I don't think so, no.
So it's the idea that Homo sapiens are about 300,000 years old. And before that, there was Australopithecus about 3 million years. And they're hominids, right? So if you ever notice, Travis, you ever notice how there's several different breeds of dogs and horses and several different breeds of snakes and monkeys, but there's only one kind of human? You ever notice that?
No, I actually have not.
But it is interesting, right? There is only, if you go Homo sapien, that's it. There's just Homo sapien. Homo habilis is gone. Homo australis is gone. Homo neanderthalis is gone. All the other hominids are dead. Why do you think they're dead, if you were going to take a guess?
Natural selection?
Natural selection, but how about like look at what we did during World War I and World War II. What would be your guess on why there's just one species of hominid on this planet? Genocide, that's correct. We are the species of hominid that killed all the other hominids. If you don't understand that that's the case, then you need to take a look at the anthropological record. The reason why Neanderthals don't exist anymore is because we raped them and ate them. That's the reason why, right? Wow. Okay, so we are an aggressive, violent species that takes over the planet. You don't believe me? There's 8 billion of us. Take a look around. There are 400,000 elephants on this planet, and there's 8 billion Homo sapiens. So you ask yourself, like, well, what is, from an evolutionary standpoint, why are we like this? Where do our impulses come from? Why do you know, hey, I want a skinny waist and big, but you say you like your boobs? Well, there's a reason you like your boobs, or other guys like your boobs. It's not just a matter of preference. If it was a function of preference, or if you had free will over your preference, make yourself like poop. Right? Make yourself like spoiled mayonnaise. You're just not going to like it. Evolution made it so I like these things that look young and pretty and symmetrical and whatever, because they show fitness. And then I don't like these other things, these weird smells like it smells like poop. Okay, I'm not interested in that. Right? Evolution teaches us that. So now we have 3 million years of hominid evolution and 300,000 years of Homo sapien evolution, and then we have 11,000 years since the Sumerians, where we had marriage and agriculture and language. And then we have 15 years of Facebook, right?
Yeah.
And then we have 9 years of Instagram. And we, in our minds, in our neocortex, we think Facebook and Instagram are how it always was. And we don't realize that we have 300,000, you have 40,000 ancestors who had to hunt for berries and try to fight to survive. So now you're in a situation where you're trying to find a person that you want to mate with, right? At some point, obviously, reproduction has to be important for every species. Otherwise, we wouldn't do it. And even though I don't think you're looking to have a kid anytime soon, and I'm not either, the fact of the matter is our biological impulses, I want to be with somebody who I could have a kid with, and you're probably looking for a guy, not necessarily you're going to have a kid with, but you could have a kid with, and that's what you look for. So you notice these aspects. You want someone who maybe, and for everyone it's different, but for some people they like someone who's tall, or a certain eye color, or a certain hair color, or a certain build, right? For men or women. And you find these things and you realize these preferences are not yours. They all came from evolution, every single one of them. And it leads to this really scary question. Is there any free will? All of this was decided by evolution. I personally think there is no free will. That's just my opinion, that all of it came from evolution. So now in your standpoint, let's go back 50,000 years. And there's a Tahlia's great times 50 grandmother. She's out there and she lives in, let's just say she lives in where Germany is now. She's like the Teutons lived back then, right? She lives there, and then she's trying to decide between a mate. If she picks the wrong mate and she has sex with the wrong guy, she's not just sleeping with some dude with a fake watch and a rented Lamborghini. She dies.
Yeah.
She fucking dies. No one wants to take care of this kid and her, and then she dies because she has to live in a very tight knit culture. So now 50,000 years later, you're like, yeah, I don't want to have a one night stand. That's the reason why.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Sense. Yeah.
But for me as a man, why I was telling this to CJ, I don't like one night stands just because if I like you enough to have sex with you, I want to have sex with you more than once.
Yeah.
For me, or as men in general, we don't have as big of a problem with the one night stand or as big of a problem with sleeping with multiple people, because from our standpoint, if we sleep with the wrong person, nothing happens. Especially 50,000 years ago, nothing happened. Especially if we were a high status male in our tribe or whatever, in any tribe. It doesn't matter what part of, it doesn't matter if you're Australopithecus, it doesn't matter if you're Homo australis, it doesn't matter if you're African, Australian, whatever you are, in any tribe, it was like that. So when you see why men act the way they do, that's the reason why, and why women act the way they do. I believe it's because of evolutionary theory. Now let's go back to one other thing. You talk about the lying. Right? We said it's not the cheating, it's the lying.
Yeah.
So men would evolve this necessity. This is what I've always had a fucking huge problem with. Ready? And I've said this before, right? I like you, Tahlia Paris. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you I'm not going to sleep with anybody else, and you don't sleep with anybody else either.
Yeah.
Right? And because I know you're going to you're going to Mykonos for that photo shoot, and you're going to be naked in front of all these people. And I'm not stupid. Every single one of them wants to have sex with you. I'm not dumb. Every one of them wants to have sex with you. I know they do. And even though they want to have sex with you, you're not going to have sex with them. Why? Because you are with me. You are my girlfriend.
Yeah.
High five. You're my girlfriend. We're going to stay together. No, we fucked that one up. That was bad. Right? We're together. Bad. We're a team, right?
Yeah.
And when you're in Mykonos and I'm making sure you don't sleep with anyone else, of course I'm going to go sleep with your friends.
Yeah, because I'm going to be back home doing my thing, but I don't want you doing your thing.
Of course.
Yeah, that's so screwed
And that's
up.
the problem. Now, here's the thing. Women do it too, but it's a little different. For women, it's like, I want you as a man to validate all these things I need, whether it be you are my protector or, you are the breadwinner or whatever. And then when you don't validate those things, I want another man.
Yeah.
Your insecurity coming from the fact that you lost your job or you became overweight as a man. And now I want something different. So the thing is, one of the problems whenever I hear men and women discuss their dating lives is the issue is the men are the bad people or the women are the bad people. No, evolution made us both this way, and we are equally as bad, because if we weren't, then one of the two genders would dominate, and we don't. Obviously, one of the two genders doesn't dominate, because when we walk up to a nightclub, guess which one of us is getting in faster? There's no one of the two genders.
No question.
There's no question which one of us is getting in first, right? So not one gender dominated the other. Now, yes, of course. Is there a patriarchy? I do believe. I talked to Emily Sears about this. I do agree there's patriarchy. But for the most part, when I say from a survivalistic standpoint, one gender did not abolish or demolish the other gender. So because of that, that's why I think that evolution made us the way that they are. Does it make sense?
No, totally. Yeah, no, that really makes sense. It's actually very interesting, because I'm always trying to decode guys, because I feel like sometimes their emotions are just so turned off and mine are just so on all the time. I'm like, how the hell? Like, we are just so different. Like, we are very different.
So let's talk about that. So the reason why the number one libido hormone would be what? Do you know?
No, what would it be?
Testosterone.
Okay.
You do gain some libido from estrogen also. And as a man, I have on average 17 times as much testosterone as you do. And like you can, by the way, as you get older, some of those numbers get out of whack. Again, shout out to Ageless Men, Alvaro there on Wigwam. Shout out to Daniel. That you can control these things. Now in 2021, you can take an estrogen blocker, you can take testosterone replacement therapy, and you can fix these things. Like, I don't know if you remember what I looked like 5 years ago. I was fat. I was like, I had this little gut. I was hiding it underneath the jacket. I know. I would hide it. Like I'm 20 pounds heavier now, but it's all muscle. Nice. And it's because I was doing this. And it's just such a huge difference that you can change that. And for me and my behavior, it was able to change because of testosterone replacement. For a woman, you can do some estrogen replacement, but I can't give you testosterone to make you happier. It just doesn't work that way. But as far as what you were saying before, like why we're different, 2 books I would recommend for you. One is called The Evolution of Desire by David Buss, and the second one is called Why Women Have Sex by David Buss and Cindy Meston. And the whole book is based on evolutionary theory. And when you look at evolutionary theory, you'll notice, here's the thing. Evolutionary theory is a theory. There's another theory called behavioral theory. That would be the idea that if I gave you a Tonka trunk when you grow up and I got a Barbie doll when I was growing up, I would grow up to have feminine traits and you would grow up to have masculine traits. Okay. And the reality of the situation is when we look at it in practice, it is not the case. You are a female. Your hormones are different, so you're going to want things that females want, and I'm generally going to want things that men want, just in general, not all the time, obviously.
Yeah.
And so we find that evolution has more to do with the way we behave than biology. I'm sorry, than behaviorism. So what happens is when I use evolutionary psychology in order to decide why did this girl do this? this girl just ghosted me. What happened? If I say she ghosted me because Mercury was in retrograde, I'm an idiot. But if I say she ghosted me because of sexual selection, then I probably have some. So let's go down the list. Could there be another dude? Well, that's a viable answer. Does it make sense? But people aren't crazy just to be crazy. You can find out if you look through an evolutionary lens why it is that they were doing it. So you said you had some questions about the behavior of men?
Yeah. Just, I don't know. Like, I just feel like sometimes their emotions, you know, they're just like, I feel like females, like we're just, well, at least like me, I'm very emotional. And I get very attached, and I'm very in my head. Like, I think about everything like 20 times over before I do it. And I feel like with men, it's kind of just like, like whatever, like I'll just do it.
Well, let me ask you something. The extreme part of that, do you ever feel like your feelings are facts?
No.
Okay.
So I know that sometimes they're really crazy.
Right. But
I have crazy thoughts.
Cool. Okay. So do you understand, like, that is a tenet of, like, say, bipolar or borderline personality disorder or something like that? These people have these strong emotions, like, I feel like she's abandoning me, therefore she's abandoning me, therefore I'm just going to go ahead and steal all the money from the account and slash her tires. Right.
Shit.
I'm not saying you would do that.
No,
I'm saying someone
crazy.
with borderline
That's really crazy.
I'm saying someone with borderline personality disorder might do that. They start thinking their feelings are facts, but you're aware that your feelings are feelings, right?
Yeah.
And you're aware, like, they're neurochemical responses. And when you think about it, let's go back to the cave woman 50,000 years ago. If her man's going to leave her, she's going to die.
Yeah. She won't be able to survive.
So could you understand, again, please, anyone out there, I'm not saying that women can't survive. I'm saying in 50,000 years ago, tribes were set up in that way. It's just a fact. It's just the way
the hunting.
Exactly. I'm not saying no women hunted. They certainly did. And I'm certainly not saying that's the way things should be today. Certainly not. Vice president is a female. Females can do all these different jobs that men could do, no problem whatsoever. Female fighter pilots, firefighters. That's not the point I'm trying to make. What I'm saying is 50,000 years ago, that is how the world was set up. And now you're worried about losing this man, and your hormones are telling you might lose him, and now you start having strong emotions.
Yeah.
That's why, right?
Yeah.
So now here's the thing. You just become aware. Oh, this is what my great-great-great-grandmother was feeling. Take a deep breath. You become aware of the feeling, and then you can kind of move through it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That helps me, because as a man, we have strong emotions too, but they generally come from jealousy and mate guarding. A lot of people don't know this. There's a book also by David Buss called The Murderer Next Door, where he talks about why murders happen. 88% of murders, Travis, you want to get 88% of murders are what? For what? Anyone, you want to take a guess?
Because they think they're going to cheat on that person.
Men killing other men over women.
Oh.
88% of murders are men killing other men over women.
Oh my
right?
gosh, I didn't know that.
Right. Now that does, obviously, you and I don't know anyone who's murdered anyone personally. So
think about it.
let me think about that for a second. Yeah, I don't know anyone who's murdered anyone personally. So there's not a lot, there's fewer murders per capita now than any time in history. But at the time, that's why we have the murders. So you are worried about losing your mate, so you act jealous and you do all these kind of things. And a man, he might get physically violent or start acting like out of rage. Same thing. Like, I've been in a situation before where it's like, I want my friend to validate me. We came to this party together. Why are you talking to this dude for so long? And I do the same thing. I'm like, my great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather was in the same situation where it's like, if I lose this girl, I'm going to raise someone else's child because someone else got her pregnant. You have the disadvantage in some cases of, like, you have to pick which one of these men is the alpha male, but you know which child is yours.
Yeah,
You're not confused about which child is yours. I don't have a DNA test 50,000 years ago. So in order for me, what I got to do, I got to mate guard. You ever see guys when they get in relationships with girls? No, I don't want you going out anymore.
Yeah, no, totally.
I want you to stay away from these other guys because
home.
I need to know this baby is my baby.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, we have DNA tests. But back then, you remember, like, every time, this is a really weird thing for people to consider. Whenever every time you have sex, you don't think you're going to have a baby. But you realize your body doesn't know that. Your brain knows that because Tahlia Paris is aware of contraceptives, Plan B, condoms, and the fucking IUD. She's aware of that, but your limbic system and your amygdala is not aware. Every time you have sex, it's like, oh, it's baby making time.
Yeah.
Better pick the right one.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Do you understand what I'm saying?
No, it makes sense. Yeah. No, totally.
Do you ever wish you could be, like, I wish I could be more like some of my female friends where I really would be so happy with one person. And I have some female friends who really wish they could be like a dude. Do you ever have that feeling?
Yeah, sometimes I do wish I could be like a guy. I was actually just talking to my girlfriend the other day because I'm like, when I'm with a guy, I don't even look at other guys. Like, I'm not out and about. And I think I was like working out or something, and my trainer said something because I was like sitting there like dying, like looking off into space. And he's like, are you contemplating life? Or are you looking at like a hot guy over there? And I'm like, no, I'm just contemplating life. Like, when I'm with somebody, I'm not like looking around like, oh, like he's cute, or like, oh, I'd like to have sex with him. Like, I'm with someone. And they're like the only thing that's on my mind, honestly. Like I'm not out and about and, you know, like thinking, oh, he's cute, or talking to my friends, or on Instagram, you know, like looking up like body pictures or whatever it is. I'm very like one track mind, like towards the person that I'm with. But men, I feel like it's like, oh, like they're on Instagram and it's like, oh, like she's pretty cute. Like I'd fuck her, you know, like even if they're in a relationship or whatever.
I think for us, the separation between having sex with some imaginary girl that we don't know and then the intimacy between us and our girlfriend are completely separate things. And for some women, again, please do not yell at me. For some women, for most women, it's not. The intimacy and the sex are connected. Yeah, the sex is a thing that comes with the intimacy, and the sex is better because you're intimate with one person. Whereas for me, as a man, I could tell whenever women take train for like bodybuilding competitions, and some of them take anabolic steroids, one of the first things that they report is an insane sex drive. But it's not an insane sex drive. It's Michael Sartain on a Tuesday. It's just a normal. It's like it's Travis last night. Like it's a normal sex drive, but you've never experienced it before, so you think it's an insane. Oh my God, these women are like, oh my God, all I could think about was sex all day. Well, you're a dude for a little while. That's essentially what's happening, because my testosterone is not twice yours. It's 7. Like my free testosterone is probably 950. Yours is probably like under 100. Oh, and so when you realize that, then you start to come to the realization, okay, this is why the two genders are different. And so again, what is the solution? Evolutionary psychology is not about what ought to be. It's about what is. So what is the solution? The solution for me is always present moment awareness, and then come to the realization, I feel this way because evolution has designed me to have these neurochemical reactions. So therefore I don't need to go punch this guy because he's talking to my girl, right? Which I've never had that feeling. But if I did, that's what I do. Or a girl is like, hey, that's my boyfriend's job. He is on the red carpet doing these red carpet interviews. He's not just going to leave me and go fuck this other girl. This is a neurochemical reaction. I need to chill and not drink this tequila. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, the alcohol makes it 10 times worse.
Dude, the alcohol,
that's for damn sure.
The alcohol definitely does make it worse. So I was going to ask you some questions about you dating, but you've given a lot of examples here. You're one woman, one man type of girl.
Yeah, totally.
You're more comfortable being in a relationship than not being in a relationship, or do you like being single?
I was single for the last like 4 years. I was dating a guy on and off for the last 4 years. It was never like anything serious. Somebody in the music industry, which by the way, I will never ever date anybody in the music industry.
I know who it is.
Ever again.
You told me this. I know exactly who it is.
So I was on and off with him, and I was appreciative because like in the times that we weren't together, I was single. And now looking back, I'm like, you know what? Like I had some really good times, and I was able to travel and not have, you know, someone to, and not that it's bad, but like someone to like have to like text or like let them know like what I'm doing. Like I was just free. I was my own person. So I'm glad that I did have that time when I was single, because when I was in high school and stuff, like I constantly had a boyfriend.
One boyfriend to the next boyfriend.
Yeah. And I think it's very important just to be single and be your own person. And like, I feel like I was really able to like figure out who I am, what I want. And now that I'm like over that, it's like, okay, like now I'm ready to like really settle down, and like I'm ready for like the next.
I think it's important to be single, but I think it's also just as important to learn to be happy being single.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. I can't remember who said this. It was some NBA player. He's like, man, if you're not happy before you win that NBA championship, when you win one, it's not going to make you happy. You're going to be happy for about 15 minutes and it's going to go away. And I know a bunch of guys that have been in this situation before. It was like, man, if I could just date Tahlia Paris, I'd be happy. If I could just date Tahlia Paris, literally every other physiological problem or psychological problem in my life would go away, because I'd be happy because she would fulfill me. And I tell these dudes, because it's not obviously you specifically, but a Tahlia Paris in their life, and they're like, I would just be happy if I could just get this one thing. Or the other one that's really great, and a lot of people are going to disagree with me on this one, if I could just get that $1 million. If I just got $1 million, I would be happy. No, if you just had $1 million, motherfucker, you would have $1 million.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily mean you'd be happy. Do you ever meet people who are very wealthy? To me, I find that once you cross like $100 million, stuff like that, I see people that have trouble maintaining a certain level of happiness without immense amount of stimulus all the time, right? And so now you see these people who cross over the border every couple years or every season, whatever, from Mexico. These people have nothing and they're happy. And then you see guys with all this money, or Anthony Bourdain. Anthony Bourdain traveled around the world having incredible meals with wonderful, fantastic people, and he hung himself in a luxury suite in Paris.
Wow. Yeah,
Right?
no. Happiness starts from within, and you can't really try to make somebody else happy until you are happy.
Yes.
And I didn't realize that until the last couple of years. And it's so important to make yourself happy, because it doesn't matter. Yeah, even that $1 million of that person or whatever it is, you need to have the happiness within yourself. You can't just go looking for it in somebody else, because then it's not gonna fulfill you.
So that brings up the next point that I'm going to make there is that, so now being happy when you're single. Now I'm in a relationship. Now, a lot of times the relationship is, I promise I'll just be with you forever, right? That's what we're saying. And maybe it's like, I will promise I will be with you forever as long as you and I are both working towards this, or until I find out that you have some deep psychological disorder and I can't make you happy.
Yeah.
Like, no matter what, at some point I deserve to be happy. And I always think people ought to go into relationships like this. Monogamy, which is something you prefer, I don't think is the natural state of Homo sapiens, and because the anthropological record shows that it's not the natural state of Homo sapiens. If you go to the Fit Club LV, you see some of those guys, they're fucking jacked. They're huge dudes. And you know that they have to train 5-7 days a week in order to look like that. If they broke their jaw, got malaria, or had back surgery, you know they'd lose some of that.
Yeah.
They'd lose some of that mass. That's what monogamy is. Monogamy is, you want monogamy. Monogamy is that super fit Jay Cutler every day. But the only way he's going to stay like that is he has to work at it every day. And if you and me are both not on the bench press every day working at it, then it just goes away. It makes sense?
Yeah, no, that's the thing, is that a lot of people being in relationships and long term, like they start to fall off, and then that's when things start to fall apart. You always have to work towards it, and work towards yourself too, because you can't, get unhappy and then still continue to try to make somebody else happy. It's all hard work.
And at 24, she's already more wise than us, Travis. Do you see this? I'm 43.
That's crazy.
I can't even.
Well, I'm 23, and I'm being pretty wise.
You're 23?
Yes.
Hey,
oh my gosh, you're young.
There you go.
I turned 25 in a couple months.
Have you met my?
Now you're old.
Have you met my?
I'm an old lady.
Have you met my single friend Travis?
Oh, hi. I'm single friend Travis. Over
Hi,
here.
single friends.
My single friend Travis.
Thank you.
I was 19 years old when you were born. Let's not think about that.
Wow.
Let's not think about that, Tahlia.
And then I was 19 when we met.
I was 19. You were 19. Yeah, exactly. I was
Yeah.
38 years old when we met. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. Are there any specific charities or issues that you feel strongly about?
Just Babes in Toyland. Especially, I love the toy drive. I love kids. And the toy drive is so amazing every year. I love bringing like the little different toys. I always try to get like a boy toy and a girl toy. And yeah, I mean, it's a great cause. And also, like, if you're looking to go to like a good event, it's also a good event to go to.
It is. Isn't it incredible? It's like the maximum party is $750 for guys, and tables are like $5K. Or you can go to Babes in Toyland for $81.
Yeah, no, it's not expensive,
like,
and it's for a good cause.
Exactly.
So it's like you get hot babes, you get good music. Usually they'll do like performances. And then I mean it's for a great cause. And I think they even have like open bar and stuff sometimes.
They have open bar. They have open bar, and it is literally the exact same girls you see at the Maxim party and the Playboy Mansion.
Exactly. Yeah, and some of those parties are just ridiculous.
At most, it's $125 for a ticket. And like, I have never understood how there is not a line of 7,000 people trying to get into that place.
Yeah.
It's always blown my mind.
I know.
Yeah, no, that's interesting, and I love that they support the causes that they support. All these different charities in Los Angeles, all the different causes that they support. Do you have anything interesting coming up? Now, you said before you're going to do a DJ set in San Diego. What else do you have coming up?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's like the biggest thing that I have coming up. I'm super excited about. I'm actually going to start getting ready for it soon, like get my set together and everything. And then my birthday is coming up. Like October is usually a super crazy month for me. It's like my birthday, all my family's birthdays, friends' birthdays, Halloween. There's usually a ton of events and stuff like that within that month. But other than that, I'm just kind of chilling in Vegas until then. I'm not doing as much traveling right now as I used to, which I'm actually happy about. I'm kind of over the whole traveling thing.
I moved here because everyone comes and visits me.
Yeah. No, it's funny. Like now that I've been living here for the past 4 or 5 months, especially in the beginning, it was actually driving me kind of crazy. People were like, oh, like I'm in Vegas. Like, let's hang out like every single weekend. There's somebody here. I'm in Vegas. Let's hang out. I'm in Vegas. I'm like, fuck. Like I don't
have to travel. I never have to travel anymore. Everyone, my mom comes here twice. Here. Everyone, like all the guys who work with my hedge fund and that whole industry, all of them come here. I don't have to go anywhere. It's terrific. Yeah. One thing you said before, and I blew my mind, like it slipped my mind, and I've been meaning to ask you. You talked about DMing guys back on OnlyFans.
Yes, messaging them.
That is a fucking performance art. Can you talk about these guys are now messaging you on OnlyFans. You have to message back. Can you talk about that whole thing?
It's a full-time job because it's like, it's just like having like, so it's like texting. It's like you respond and then they respond. So it's not just like, it's like an email where like I could like send it out and like maybe I'll hear back in the next day or two. It's usually pretty instant. So it's constant all day. Like I respond and then they respond. And it's not just one guy. It's like, it's several. So it's really a full-time job. And
several thousand.
And it's rating things like dick pics and, you know, like having to talk naughty.
This is what I wanted to know about. Yes, she brought it up. I didn't have to bring it up because I didn't want to bring it up. Okay. Are you aware, Travis, that this is an industry, a massive industry on OnlyFans?
I am actually aware of that.
You are aware.
Yes.
Exactly how aware?
My ex used to have.
Okay, got it. Okay, that's why.
Yeah.
Okay, now here we go. My friend Paulina Candy. We haven't met, but she lives in London, and we go back and forth. We talk back and forth. She was the first one I ever saw rate the dick pics. Okay, this is a fucking industry. Mm-hmm. There are girls I do believe that make the majority of their yearly income from this one part of their OnlyFans. Okay, you don't have to just talk about that, but like all of these guys are asking me some really odd questions. Can you go over some of those?
Like the questions that they've asked
the
me?
Questions they ask, the dick pic questions, all that kind of stuff.
I mean, I would just say like there's like this one guy, like he sends like a picture like every morning. He'll be like, "Good morning, babe." I think it's like a mass message, honestly, that he sends to like all the girls.
Yeah.
So like I get like a nice little like selfie of him every morning.
Yeah.
That's like, "Good morning, babe. Like I hope you have a good day."
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, honestly, most of the guys that talk to me are actually somewhat pretty normal. Like,
okay.
Like nobody's like off like the wall or like weird or anything. Like they want like I haven't had any like weird like fetish requests or anything crazy, like some like feet people, but that's like completely normal. Nothing crazy.
Is it going to be weird if you get messages on your OF about this podcast?
Maybe. I don't know. We shall see. You know, they're like, "Oh, I'm a fan."
Will you please screenshot if you get messages about this podcast? I would love that so much if you got OnlyFans message. Okay, the dick pic stuff. So you do not have anyone working for you. You doing this all yourself?
I have someone who helps me occasionally, but for the most part, yeah, I do.
That to me, I mean, once you cross, 'cause you have more than a million fans. Once you cross a mil, god dang, man, you have all these dudes like sending you these pictures, and that must be crazy when you open up your thing and just like you must feel like a urologist at this point with all the penises that
I know. I'm just like looking at penises all day. I'm like a doctor.
See, this makes more sense, right? We were trying to get to the heart of what Tahlia Paris does all day. She looks at penises all day. Do you understand?
And I rate them too. Okay,
let me ask you something.
Just gotta send a tip.
Does it take away from the penis experience overall because you're looking at so many penises?
No, not necessarily. There's definitely some penises that aren't like the best looking penises.
Yeah, no, what I mean by it is your own personal penis experience. Does it take away from the fact that you've looked at all of these all day?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, because that's a special penis.
Yeah,
because it's yours.
Yeah,
got it. That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's way better.
Yeah,
okay.
Like my own penis or like my.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yes, we understand that Tahlia Paris does not have a
penis.
By the way, there'd be nothing wrong with that, and you'd make more money on OnlyFans. Apparently,
that's true. I would.
That is no judgment. No judgment. You can make a lot of money. I know an individual. No, I'm not going to say. Well, I won't say the first part. He has some stuff going on downstairs that I can't describe, but it's different and it's medical. But upstairs, this guy likes 60-year-old women, and I was like, "You have that?" And I was joking with him because he's like, he's just asking me for advice about stuff, and I was like, "You need to start an OnlyFans.
Yeah.
You're down to have sex with 60-year-old women. You're cool with that, bro? You would make so much money. It'd be
People
crazy."
love the different stuff, like even in the pregnant women, or like the girls with penises. Like people have like a niche for like different stuff. So, and it's honestly like the normal stuff that people aren't even really into right now. Like, so it's like if you have like something different about you, like go start an OnlyFans because you're going to make the most money for sure. Like even like the foot fetish stuff. Like I've seen people, it's like foot fetishes where like they're like putting their feet in different things, whether it's like sand or like gooey, like goo. I don't know. Like people just like different stuff. And
it's almost
I would
like the ASMR
think,
stuff. Like you hear the different texture and the sounds.
That's also a big thing. Like I'll be on TikTok and like there's a ton of lives and people are like in the microphone, like making weird noises and stuff. And people are like watching it like, oh yeah.
I don't get it. It drives me crazy. 15 seconds, man, I go crazy when I hear that shit. I cannot listen to ASMR stuff. I understand that.
It makes me a little bit eerie, honestly.
Yes,
like I'm kind of like,
right.
ooh, like it weirds me out a little bit.
The back of your neck.
Yeah, I'm like,
get goosebumps listening to them talk about
it's weird.
That stuff.
Yeah.
Man, I'm just sitting there trying to think. Oh, yeah, it's another thing. A friend of mine, she's a pretty big model. This guy kept tipping her. They were sending pictures back and forth. They started dating. Have you heard of anything like that?
No, I heard you talking about it though on CJ's. Yeah, and then that's interesting.
I'll tell you who it is when we get off.
That's interesting how he made her then get off of OnlyFans.
Yeah,
which I could understand to a certain extent. For example, if he was going to support her, if he was like, "Look, I'm going to support you and do whatever else," but like even if he was going to support her, and even if she like loved doing OnlyFans, like no, like she shouldn't stop doing that for him, you know. But like for me, like say like I met a guy and he's like, oh, like I want you to get off OnlyFans, like I'm gonna support you. Maybe I would, honestly, because it's not like my life. Like I'm not like I love doing it, but it's not like, oh my God, like I love, like it's not like Playboy or, you know. But like for some girls, like they might be like, okay, like even if you're gonna support me, give me $200,000 a month, whatever the number is. Like I still want to do it for me.
You want to have something. You want to build something because it is a business. You are building a client. For those of you who don't take OnlyFans seriously, you are building a client base, right? Yeah. This is a sales job for whatever you want to say about it. The First Amendment protects your right to do it. It is a function of industry. It employs people, right? It's not illegal, and you have to do marketing, you have to do sales, you have to pay taxes on it.
Yes.
You have to pay
your taxes, ladies, because I see a lot of you out buying new Louboutins and stuff. But,
exactly,
you got to pay those taxes.
Got to pay those taxes, dude. You did the tentacle video. You got to pay the taxes on the money you made from the tentacle video that you did. Yeah, for sure. That's incredible. All right, so this has been enlightening. We've got a full 360 of Tahlia. Is anything else that you got coming up?
Nope, I think that's it. And I'm glad that I did this. This was a lot of fun.
It's cathartic, isn't it?
Yeah.
I was going to start seeing
I learned a lot today. I took a little lesson.
Yeah. Yeah, in anthropology. And evolutionary theory.
Yeah.
I was, somebody told me to go see a therapist. Fuck that. I'm just going to host a podcast. That's what I'm going to do from now on.
No, this is like a good little session. I've actually been thinking about going to see a therapist or something. So this is like my first little therapy session.
Well, that's what I'm here for. If you ever want to talk about these things. By the way, obviously most of my friends are female, and they call me and they ask me these questions, and a lot of times they just want me to listen, and I go, okay, here, so what I'm going to do. First 30 minutes, I'm just going to listen, and then I listen. I was like, okay, cool. I listened, and I understand that you wanted me to just listen, and I did. Got it? You understand? You agree with me, right? Okay, now, do you really want the answer to this question, or do you want to just keep talking? Because I'm fine if you just want to keep talking, but if you want the answer, I'm going to give it to you.
Yeah.
And then I give them a book to read, and then we start going over statistics, and I start explaining to them 57% of marriages end in divorce, and this guy was never going to be the one for you, and maybe you shouldn't have started dating a male stripper in the first place, and he was probably not going to, like for real, like you dated someone in the music industry.
I know, yeah.
Right, there are things that could, right, but you're not going to get mad at me for explaining to you statistically this is probably what's going to happen, and yada yada yada. And then I do that. I'm like, okay, are you going to go with this advice or not? And some of them do, and those are the girls who keep calling me for more advice, because I love one of the things I love is I'll date a girl, and then they'll understand that I'm not interested in a relationship. We stay friends, and then afterwards they'll hit me up and be like, Michael, I need some advice with this dude, and I'm like, do you really want advice? They're like, yes. I'm like, I'm going to go step by step. This is what he's thinking. This is what he's thinking. Like, holy shit. Yes, that's exactly what's going on. Because listen, man, January 1st, 1865, slavery was outlawed. You don't own anyone. You don't own anyone. You don't own your boyfriend. You don't fucking own anyone. Anyone you are with, they are with you because they want to be with you. Once you start sitting there and trying to obligate people to be with you, that's when things start to fall apart, right? That's the main thing, and that's what you're talking about before.
Yeah, with my ex, he was trying to control me.
You were with your ex, trying to control you, exactly. And even though you did not sleep with anyone else, wasn't good enough. He needs to own you.
Yeah,
he needs to own your feelings. It needed to get to the point where you didn't have fun unless he was the one. I've been in relationships like that before. It's like you had too much fun with people that weren't me. I was like, I didn't fuck any of them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I guess that wasn't enough.
Yeah. It never is for those kind of people.
All right. So if we want to see Tahlia Paris with clothes on, where can we go see her?
On Instagram at Tahlia Paris. Yeah, it's spelled right there because my name's a little bit difficult to spell. And then if you want to see me naked, then... that's OnlyFans, Tahlia Paris.
The way she said that shit, Travis.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say it or not.
The way she said that shit.
The audio listeners are already going there.
I know.
If you want to see me naked.
I don't know if it's allowed or not, but.
I do ASMR.
Oh my God.
Tap on the.
I rub my nails on my cell phone.
And we lost all of our subscribers.
But yeah, honestly, Instagram sucks right now. So if you want to see the best of me, go to OnlyFans or Twitter, Tahlia Paris too, because I do a little bit of fun stuff on there as well.
One last thing, you reminded me of this before we get out of here. Instagram sucks. Go over this. So for someone who doesn't realize, a girl, you made your living off Instagram, let's say from 2015 to 2019, and then what happened?
So I actually had my Instagram taken away right before quarantine, so like a year and a half or so ago, and I had it down for like 6 or 7 months. And the thing that was so annoying to me is that I never posted anything bad.
Yes.
And there was these girls that would post way worse than me, you know, in these tiny little see-through thongs bent over twerking. And like me, it's just like, I honestly would post like bathing suit pictures, like nothing bad at all. And then I got deleted. So I'm like, okay, like if we're going to have like these rules or whatever, they need to be across the board. They can't just be for certain people. And that's what's the most frustrating part is I feel like they pick on certain people, and it's essentially bullying. Like Instagram, I feel like allows bullying to a certain extent on certain people, because like you can go report their page so many times or whatever and it gets taken down. But then there's like that one girl up that like no one really cares about, and she's like half naked. Or for example, I have a fake account of me that has over 450,000 followers that goes by the name Aloob Selena. Every single day I get several DMs about it. Hey, do you know about this account? Do you know about this account? And yes, they've been going strong, I think, for 2+ years. I actually have like a police report against them and everything, but there's nothing that they can do because Instagram just doesn't give a shit. And I have messaged them so many times and they will not do anything about it. And she has pictures of me, or he or whoever it is has pictures of me fully implied, you know, naked holding my boobs, which is not allowed anymore. If I posted that on my feed, I would be deleted in a heartbeat. But they're posting it and it's me, but everyone's like, oh, like no one gives a shit about Aloob Selena.
Did you know this, Travis, if you put wear a bra or you put a cucumber on your boob, that is totally fine on Instagram. But if you touch your own boob and change this, I believe the terminology is change the shape of your breast, then you're going to get reported. Yeah.
But then there's girls who I see, like, for example, like celebrities and stuff. Like I think Kylie Jenner has a campaign out right now and she's naked and like and covering herself. And I'm like, oh, but that's okay because she's Kylie Jenner. But like if I did that, like it wouldn't be okay.
I mean,
so,
Kylie
like,
Jenner would go on Twitter and she would blast Instagram, and then Instagram would have to answer for it.
Yeah.
No, I think I've said this before. No one hates women more than Instagram. Sorry, if you have a problem with it, come on the show. Have someone on the show, and then I'll have 2 other models on here, and we've got several things for you to answer for. Like, I've seen women get reported for animal abuse and have their account suspended when there's no fucking animals on their account. Explain that before. If I were Instagram, I'd be doing what Instagram is doing, which is saying nothing. You have some vague terms of service. You ban whoever you feel like banning. They tend to just all be women with curves.
Yeah.
You know, sorry, it just tends to be the thing that you're having. Of course, is there lascivious behavior that I don't want to see? That's fine. Then just have 2 Instagrams. Then just have an opt-in or something like that. I don't care if I see if I see something I don't want to see. I'm not going to blame Instagram for it. It's my job. Like at some point, it is my job to not be offended, right? At certain things, if it's not my business. But you're right. They built their company off your back and now they shame you, right?
Yeah. Well, and they say it's for like kids and stuff too. And it's like, well, why does your 9-year-old have, first of all, a phone or whatever? And why do they have a social media account? Like, I'm sorry, but if you're not mature enough, you should not have a social media account.
Wait, so my 9-year-old can go on Instagram and go see the verified account for Brazzers? Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that what I'm supposed to understand? Is that what? No, Instagram's talking about both sides of their neck, and we understand what they're doing. If they would have a little bit more transparency, then maybe it wouldn't be such an issue. But it's not one of these things where, like, listen, it's their platform. They can choose to do whatever they want. The problem is their platform would not exist or have any validity whatsoever had it not been for Playboy models going on there and posing over and over again and getting these thirst traps that they posted, and all these dudes from Indonesia and India just like going. I used to make a joke. Instagram is women in the Western Hemisphere posing and posting pictures for men in the Eastern Hemisphere. That's generally that's the majority of what it is. But you're right. Then they just take it away from you, right? So they get to tell you what you do is sexually suggestive, which they have no right to tell you that. And again, I understand we always need to listen to the accuser, but we don't need to ad hoc believe the accuser, because when we do, the accuser now can bully us. And now we're in a situation, like you said before, I see women getting bullied for hate speech when they're posing a picture in Tulum in a bikini, but it's hate speech.
Yeah.
Instagram, I'm sorry, answer for it. If you have a problem with this, answer for it, but they're never going to do that. And
they don't respond.
Instead, we're going to be in a situation where, and they don't have to. I mean, they're $1 billion company. They don't have to. They're owned by Facebook. But that's the situation that makes me mad, because again, we go back to what I'm saying before. Now we have a situation where women who are very attractive can take advantage. They don't need Playboy to make money off of, right? For years, it's been the attractive woman. There's always been the dudes who step in and then they make the money off the attractive women. And now OnlyFans come on, Instagram and OnlyFans, social media comes out. And now we don't need the middleman anymore. These women can make money on their own. And now that they can make money on their own, let's go ahead and shut them down again. That's what it feels like to me, to be honest.
Totally,
That's what it feels like to me. It's like you couldn't deal with the fact that you wanted to sell advertising, but instead of the Coke and McDonald's advertising, they were looking at Tahlia Paris's boobs, and you just couldn't fucking deal with that.
Yeah.
That seems like that's the problem.
Well, and again, like it's the whole thing where it's like selection, where it's like they're not okay with me doing it, but then they're fine with me, but another account who's underneath another name doing it. So it's like they're selective, and that's like the thing that's so annoying. Like, fine, have these like really weird rules that are stupid. But let's have everybody go for them, not just certain people. And like all these people are getting deleted right now, and it's the same thing. And people are just getting, like bullied. So it sucks. All
right. Well, you can make her much happier if you do the dick pic thing, I think, maybe. If you do it enough, and then
we can do a dick rating on my OnlyFans.
Do a dick rating on our OnlyFans. And if it's good enough, then maybe you can be the next one she dates. I'm just kidding.
Slide in the DMs.
Slide in the DMs. And just, can you imagine if that works? Some girls doing dick ratings, and then all of a sudden, this is my new boyfriend.
I know, right? She's like, well, that's a really nice dick. So, where do you live?
There you go. And on that note, we're going to get out of here. Guys, if you enjoyed this episode, please like, rate, and subscribe us. Dude, I can't believe I'm getting all these ratings on podcasts, Apple Podcasts. I didn't realize seeing podcast ratings for myself is crazy.
That's so cool.
I'm sorry, it is. On YouTube, it's growing really fast, and so I appreciate all of you who have watched it. I'm going to tell you something crazy that happened to me the other day. This person that I swore to God I thought hated me came up to me, and I thought this dude was going to punch me, and he said, dude, I love your podcast. And I was like, really? It's like, yeah, dude, this one girl that I've been trying to message forever to try to come to some of my events would not piss on me if I was on fire. The other day she messages me. She's like, I love your podcast. And I can't, like, I'm stunned. So I want to say thank you. I had no idea after 2 episodes that I was going to get this much love. So
awesome.
Thank you so much for watching it. Hopefully I can bring some more stuff to you. Please leave in the comments what you enjoyed or what you'd like me to change. I encourage all of you to try listening at double speed, because that's how I listen to these things. I love listening at 1.5 speed, 1.8 speed, double speed. By the way, on Spotify, you can go 3.5 speed. Just let you know. You guys make sure you check out Tahlia Paris and all of her different platforms. You can see her everywhere. If you actually see her with clothes on, you should take a picture with her, because it's very rare. She's actually, as soon as we get done taping this, she's gonna take her clothes off. It's crazy. She's getting in her car and no clothes on.
That's the plan. It's too hot here in Vegas.
It's too hot. She's just gonna get naked. And guys, I want to say thank you one more time. Thank you once again to Sticky Paws, and we will see you all next week.